Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lynn Wagner, and you are listening to Doc's Thoughts. Today's guest is Teri Tkachuk, CEO and co-founder of STELLARGIRL, a brand that's mission is to help women champion themselves, embody self-celebration, and cultivate fierce self-love. It's all about wellness, mindset, style, and is an adventure guide for curating your elevated self. Teri is a blogger on STELLARGIRL.com, where she keeps her self-celebration Stellar Girl guide. She has an 80-plus episode podcast called Speaking Stellar Girl, where she interviews passion-driven women from around the world. She's a style guest contributor for Fox. She has a partnership with Rise Up Experiences, where she hosts bi-monthly events that champion women and encourage all of us to be our best selves. I have known Teri for a while and love what she stands for. I'm excited to share her and her stellarness with the world. So welcome to my show. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm thrilled. Thank you for asking.
Yes, I am. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So, but the only thing I'm bummed about is that we didn't get you in my closet dressing me for the episode.
Next time.
I know.
Next time. I can just do that on a daily.
So, I already talked about you in my intro, so people know a little bit about you. But I just want to share how I first met you. So we have a mutual friend,
yes,
who is a stylist, and he's one of my dearest friends. It's actually James, who's been on the show multiple times.
Super talented guy.
And he just kept telling both of us, like, hey, I know this person. You have to meet each other. And we still hadn't met each other.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden my son broke his collarbone at a hockey game, and I went to urgent care with him, and guess who was my doctor? So you took care of him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Dr. Wagner. And she's like, I think that could be Teri.
Right. So we met in the urgent care, and it was really funny because when I would go to work at the urgent care, I would wear my scrubs, and a lot of times I wouldn't do my hair, and I would, you just kind of roll in. And I walk in this room and I see this, beautiful woman all put together. And
I was from a hockey tournament. I don't know how put together I was.
Oh, and then when I found out who it was, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I look like this. So it was just really funny because it was just funny. And also I think, and I don't think Teri even knows this, but she can be pretty intimidating because she has amazing style, which is part of your mission, that's what I remember you sitting there in the urgent care and telling me one of my missions is to help women elevate their style and learn how to elevate their style. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you even say without it costing too much. So it's not about always getting the name brands and buying like the super fancy stuff. It's just how do you style yourself every day so that you're empowered. So I was like, I love this woman.
I think we dress for, thank you. I love you right back. I think we dress for our moods and our destinations. And I think that you can go to Zara and you can go to Mango, you can go to H&M, and you can even go to Target and find what you want that makes you feel good.
Yes.
Versus spending a lot of money on designer brands that
make someone else jealous. And maybe you don't feel good. No, I love, that's what I love about you. Cause I was like,
I mix everything, highs and lows all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I want to get into the nitty gritty right away because you have just an amazing story. And every time I am with you and I hear more about it, I'm like, what? What? You did this too? So start by telling us where you're from, because I think that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Canadian. I was born in Saskatchewan, and at the time when I was born there, it wasn't a very big town in Saskatoon. And I went to university there. I took a little bit of break from university, moved into Banff, Alberta, because I didn't do so well my first year university. And I had to pay back my father for the classes that I took. For those of you who don't know, in Canada is not as expensive as it is here to take school, but still, nonetheless, he's like, you didn't do very well. And so I had to go work that off. A life lesson.
Incredible life lesson.
Returned to university, finished with a degree.
I was going to say, because you have a degree.
Yes, okay. I have a BA in languages, majored in French. Mm-hmm. But I'm not from the Quebecois or Montreal side. In Saskatchewan, we learn proper Parisian French. So when I go to France, people don't really understand that I could be from Canada because my French just doesn't really have that slang.
Doesn't have the Canadian slang to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. From there, I moved to Vancouver, Canada, which was in my very early 20s. I think I was 21. And I haven't got a job in the music management industry. And it was a most amazing decade of my life.
Was that the Bruce Allen talent?
That was Bruce Allen talent. So we managed Bryan Adams, Martina McBride. At the time, Michael Bublé was not on our roster, but there was Bob Rock, Mike Plotnikoff. So we worked with a lot of like really cool bands like Metallica, Bon Jovi, Aerosmith. and a lot of on the countryside too. But I was like, when I first started there, I was Girl Friday. So I did whatever I needed to do. I don't know if people know that term these days, but it's kind of like errand girl. You did whatever you were told, and whatever time of the night someone needed you. And back then, and like, I'm dating myself, but it was like 1996 or 97 when I started. Just got a cell phone, right? And, everyone was like running around with Blackberries, weren't quite there yet, right? So it was really, really new. And I spent some time in London with Brian. I spent some time on the road with Martina, but mostly I was in the office. And then we took on athletes. So we were doing wrestlers like Bret the Hitman Hart. So then I got into like wrestling, which in the time it was the WWE, and it was just, and Vince McMahon was like fighting with the WWE because he was the WWF, and there was like this big transition.
So you're surrounded by like
affluent,
powerful artists, creators.
And not one time did they make me feel less than. So I got really lucky. Bruce Allen is probably one of the people that I would never still want to disappoint to this day. He was my mentor. He was an amazing boss. I got to be friends with his girlfriend, Katie Ann, and it just turned into this family. I took care of his kids. I took care of properties that he was on. I lived at his ex-wife's house so she could travel. It was just, I did everything. And it taught me a lot because it taught me that I could work, for 9 years and have very, very, very few days off.
Right. And you even mentioned it taught you to work under pressure, never take no for an answer, own up to your own mistakes, level up, and never settle for mediocrity. I mean, was that just through all the experiences, or was that through his mentoring, or probably a combination of both?
And never accept no.
And your family at this time is in a different city.
Different province. They were in Saskatchewan, and I was in BC, living my best life.
Your life.
And it's the best city in the world. If you've never been to Vancouver, I always plug it because I got to ski in Whistler and Vancouver. I lived I saw the ocean and the mountains right out of my apartment, and
it's definitely on a bucket list for me.
Yeah, you definitely. I'll give you like what to do and what to see, and it was phenomenal. And so I feel like I've reinvented myself every decade of my life.
Well, and then so after that, you also did things like you were a guest style contributor on ABC, a fashion editor,
yes,
a wardrobe stylist and personal shopper,
yes,
personal trainer and fitness model,
yes,
and you're still a commercial print model today. You have to tell me what that is, because I don't know what that is. And then you're still actively on the board of the fashion committee at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Correct. Yes.
So, I mean, so you're still, the earlier things I said you're not still doing, but you're still actively involved in style, fashion, that industry, modeling, health and wellness.
Absolutely. So I feel like so after when I left Bruce Allen, I spent some time in Portland, and that's where I was like, well, now what? I'm in a new city. I have a newborn baby. And obviously immigration I had to get a green card. So it took a long time to be able to work.
Right.
And back then you had to do everything by the book. You had to cross all your T's and dot all your I's. And once I had a green card, I became a personal trainer. I decided that, people at the gym would say, oh my gosh, I love the way you're dressed up, because at the time I went to the gym, there was daycare. So I worked out. Right. And then afterwards I showered and got ready. That was like my, 90 minutes of alone time with a newborn baby.
How did you learn how to work out?
I've always been into sports.
Okay.
So in high school, I did my volleyball team, basketball team, track and field. And then during, my adolescence, I was on a folkloric ballet ensemble called Pavlichenko. So I danced all over the United States and Canada and Ukraine.
Oh my gosh.
While I was going to high school.
Oh my gosh.
So I did that as well.
Know that bit of information.
So you
just picked it up from all the years of doing the different
sports. And in Vancouver, I was like a aerobics class teacher. Because back then there was like step classes, Johnny G spin, like before the Peloton. So I was a group instructor, but not like a one-on-one personal trainer. So I got into that. And then people just asked me like, oh my gosh, you're so dressed up. What are you wearing, etc. And so that got into more of the styling business, but I did that with Bruce Allen Talent too. So we worked with female artists who needed outfits for a red carpet. So it's a very small portion of what I did there. I felt like I did everything at Bruce Allen Talent.
Did you just love style already?
Yes.
Okay, so it was always a personal passion interest. It wasn't something you studied.
Nothing.
It's all self-taught.
It was innate.
Okay.
Just like I felt like I was some people can decorate their homes beautifully and they're not necessarily interior designers. I wasn't trained to be a stylist.
Right.
I just learned on the go.
Right.
So when I was in Portland, I had so many women that I met at the gym that hired me to shop for them,
style them,
to clean out their closets and like haul everything away. And then I created outfits, like an outfit book. Back then I actually took photos and put them in like photo albums. And they could like pull out their book and say, okay, it's Wednesday. I have this meeting. What does Teri suggest I wear? And they can put it together.
That's incredible.
So it was a fun process.
Right.
I just feel like I created a job wherever I went, because I had a son. I didn't want to work 9 to 5, and that's how it all worked.
And I mean, I had that experience with James because he did that same thing for me.
Yes.
And it's life changing. Just because I don't have that talent. I don't have that drive to get in. I've never did.
Yes, but you save lives.
No, what I mean, like literally when I was younger, my mom and her sisters would all want to go to Chicago and go shopping. And I would just be like, I would literally just drag around the streets, just like whining the whole time. Like, I hate this. And I like it more now, but it took training because I had no idea how to do it.
Yeah. Finding your personal style you do need help.
You definitely do. And it's really important.
I think it is. Cause I think what you wear speaks volumes. You're walking into the room, you say nothing but what you're wearing.
Right.
Like, and how you feel in your clothes. And if you're confident or not,
right.
I think that really says a lot.
And I spent a lot of time, I've gone through periods where it's like you feel guilty because you don't want to be materialistic and wanting things and clothes and you shouldn't care how you look. And I carry that part of me. So it's been really nice to work with James and talk to you and just really try to develop my own personal style and realize it's not about that. It's just about feeling comfortable and confident. And what do you project when you walk in the room?
Right. Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit, we'll go on after that because I just love this whole thing. Because you literally said to me, like, I want to up-level the style in Green Bay. Not that you want to make people fancy, but you want to empower women to feel comfortable in their own skin and in their own clothes. So it doesn't matter the size, right?
Nope.
It doesn't matter the cost of the clothing.
No.
So what would you say to someone who's listening to this and saying, how do I even start?
I think there are a lot of women in Green Bay that dress very well and do care about what they wear. And it's not that I want to come here and elevate the style in Green Bay.
Right.
I think
I'll say everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Right.
I think they would start with like a budget. So they say, okay, I have X amount of dollars to spend. I want to get rid of some things. I feel really good in this. I don't really feel good in that. So I always say, start with, well, for me, and what I used to tell most of my female clients were jeans, white tank or tee, black blazer, shoes of choice, depending on the weather. I dress from the ground up because what your footwear is how it dictates your whole day. Because if I was on my feet the entire day, there's no way I'm wearing heels.
Right.
And if I have a lot of walking to do, if I'm in New York or Chicago or a very walkable city, I have to wear something. And the weather dictates that as well. So a lot of boots, a lot of that. And then you work from the ground up. So then you find a pair of jeans that you feel really good in. And there's so many different styles these days and nothing ever goes out of style. And if it does, it comes back 10 years later.
Right.
And so then I say, get a white tank or a white t-shirt, whether you want to tuck it in or not, and then a black blazer. And you can literally find that at H&M, Target. You can go to Goodwill. You can find an oversized men's blazer at Goodwill for like $5. Get a good t-shirt that's maybe not from Goodwill. That's from Target or something like that. And
a crisp t-shirt.
A crisp t-shirt, white tank. And right away you're put together. Instant.
I love that.
And it makes you feel good. Right?
Yes.
And so I think from there, then it can translate to other things. You can, start going through your closet, editing your closet, things that don't fit, things that you're never going to wear again, get rid of that, donate it, resell it on Poshmark, whatever works for you. And then if you do need advice, there's a lot of people that you can seek advice from.
Oh, for sure.
And who could help.
Yeah, you just see someone who looks good and you ask them. That's why I met James.
Yeah.
I was like, you always are dressed so fun. Like, what do you do? And then we started talking about it and then it led into like, hey, I can help you do this.
Yeah. And I like elements that are different. So like for me, for a black blazer, I'm not just going to wear a plain black blazer, but for a lot of people that's super chic. And I definitely have one in my closet, but I always have something that's a bit different, right? Like this one like has cords peeking through. It has like
the back is
cutout in the
open,
back.
right.
I have stuff with like fringe or maybe some gold like shimmer lace on it, just for something different that you add to it. But that's me, because I like to be I dress a little bit differently.
Right.
So I don't want to be the norm.
How do you feel? Do you ever do this? I'm all about like intuition with stuff.
Yeah.
And energy.
Okay.
And I feel like when I dress myself, I actually like think of that clothing and like, is that the right piece for that day? I actually like intuit a little bit.
Yes.
And then when it's on, there is like a definite, I
Yes
feel
or no.
good or I don't feel good.
And it comes off.
Yes. I mean, literally this week I wore a shirt for half the day, and I'm working from home a couple days a week because of office situations.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm changing my outfit. So it looked fine. No one else would have noticed, but I'm like, it just doesn't feel good. Right.
But then maybe the next week it might feel good.
Fine. Right.
But yeah, I'm all about that too.
Weird.
It is.
But I mean, I do that with my eating. I do that with my exercise. I do that with my dressing.
I'm all about listening to intuition. I think women especially have it. And they either know how to like dial into it, or they don't. Like we could, this is not exactly to do with style, but I could say all these affirmations in front of the mirror every single morning. Like, I am worth it. I deserve this. I'm a rock star. I feel awesome. And you say all these things to yourself in the mirror or to yourself when you wake up. But if you actually don't believe it or desire it, then it's just words.
Right.
Right. It's just words. So I think people overcomplicate a lot of things. And I think it's a lot simpler. Unfortunately, like it's what we put into our minds, what we're, how we schedule our time, how we what we put into our bodies, what we're eating, what we're drinking, and what we put on our bodies, how we move our bodies. I think people are really like complicating everything,
yes,
and it's a lot simpler. I think
it's very simple. So I want to talk about STELLARGIRL.
Okay.
How did that come to be?
After I spent some time in Chicago,
You were in Chicago for how long?
7 years.
Yeah.
Loved it. That's I did TV there too. I was a style editor for Nape River Magazine, which is owned by CS, which is Chicago Style, which is a huge publication. And so when I moved to Wisconsin, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do?
Right.
And how I moved here was because of love.
Right.
To be very honest, I met a man who had 3 children. And even on my wrist, my grandmother told me I have 4. So I actually have like her initial and the number 4 on my wrist. So like that was a thing. And then the whole angel about how we met is a different story at a different time, because that's a longer story. Moved here for love. And my son and I blended families with Keith and his amazing 3 kids. And I was like, now what? I have to start again.
Right.
I know no one.
In Green Bay, Wisconsin.
In Green Bay.
Right.
Very different. And it wasn't like shocking. It was just like, I didn't have access to the things that I would have had access
been
to.
In very big cities.
Very big cities. Yeah.
Like
Chicago, Portland and Vancouver. Here, there was no Whole Foods. And I know that sounds so silly, but I'm used to having a Whole Foods. There was no like gym on every corner. There was no.
That's like when I go to Chicago and I'm like, why aren't there cheese curds at every? It's just different.
It's just different,
right.
and not different in a bad way. Just different than I had to get used to. And where we live is more of like in a forest area, so I felt like, oh, where's my city fix? And I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I worked for Keith for a little while. He had some franchise businesses. I worked within those until, we closed those down. But he always had the word stellar in all of his businesses. So he has companies,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, real estate companies that are like Stellar Enterprise.
I didn't know that.
He had like Stellar Fitness for all of his Anytime Fitnesses. He had Stellar Pizza for his Little Caesars.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So he loves the word. And he always said it was a very underused word. He says Rush Limbaugh or something used it a lot. And he's like, I love that word. It's like better than best. And so he always thought of, and also our daughter Stella has Stella. So it kind of went into the name.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you're my stellar girl. And he also trademarked stellar guy. And I'm like, these are great business ideas.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah. So he started like trademarking and going through all the domains through all the countries and doing all the business behind the scenes stuff. And we didn't really know what Stellar Girl could be. Is Stellar Girl a mission? Is it a community? Is it products?
Is it a product? Right.
Is it, and it kind of came to be all of those things. So we first started.
What was the first thing you did?
That was the Glimmer Lotion.
Okay.
The sparkle lotion for your skin, which you can't see right now. And I'm not going to take off my jacket, but it's like it's literally it's glitter for your skin.
Right.
And I had to do it yourself, sort of like I put Aveeno lotion on, and then I put like some iron oxide, like I think it was like Urban Decay with a brush. And then I put like micro pave glitter and then a translucent powder to set everything. So it was like, took forever to like put on.
You did the ingredients yourself first and made it.
And just kind of put it on layer by layer. And we traveled all over the country for Keith's work. So everywhere we went, people would stop me, whether it was Hong Kong, whether we were in Vietnam, whether we were wherever we were, it was Dubai. People would say, oh my gosh, what's on your skin? Like literally it was Stellar Girl started from the compliments of women
of your glittery skin
and strangers,
right?
From the airline attendant to the waitress to the girl on the street. And that's what I found so amazing, because most of the time women don't always compliment other women. So I'm like, maybe we have something there. He's like, okay, I'm done. I've had like 100 women in the past 20 days say something about your skin. Let's make it. I've never made a beauty product. I didn't know where to start.
Right.
And I'm like, where do I start? So I started calling cosmeceutical companies in 2017. We met with a bunch, and I met with chemists. We settled on one, and we created it. And like 30 to 50 samples later, we finally had our final product. And then it was like, okay, well, now what? Well, now you need tubes. Where do you get your tubes and artwork and wrapping and lids and how big
and marketing?
And I'm like, okay, so now we have a product. Now what?
Right.
And is it still a message? Is it still a community? So we pivoted so many times from, since we actually got the product in 2020 was when we got the actual bottles, was during COVID. And so we couldn't launch that year, but then it went into 2021 and we're like, we got to do it. We got to just push the button, because what if the world's going to be like this for a longer period of time? So we just launched without like a plan.
And is that when you started doing the podcast and writing your blog and being more active on social media and things like that? Okay.
I didn't even know. So I didn't even have an Instagram account till 2020, in December of 2020.
You didn't?
No, we launched January of 2020.
I mean, she's very active.
Now I'm like, I feel like I'm constantly on Instagram.
So prolific. I'm like, how does she do this?
I don't know. My calendar is scheduled in like 15-minute increments. So it started, and we've pivoted so many times, and I've learned and I've failed and I've made mistakes and I've done a lot of things wrong and a lot of things well. And then another female on my podcast owned a winery in Napa.
Right.
And she's like, I'll make your bubbles.
Right.
And I'm like, because it's always been my dream. Because if you have a sparkling company, the next thing would be sparkling champagne or wine.
And it's delicious.
And I wanted something low in sugar. I wanted to control the soil as best I could, meaning like what was sprayed on the grapes. So you had to go to the vineyards that didn't spray. Organic still sprays, even though it's organic. So I tried to find and resource the juice that didn't necessarily have a lot of those in it with a very low sugar content.
Right.
So the higher the alcohol, the lower the sugar. So my bottle has a little higher alcohol and low sugar. And it's a dry, sparkling, bright, effervescent Blanc de Blanc.
It's delicious.
And now we have distribution in Wisconsin.
Right.
And in Texas.
I was going to say, it's not just Wisconsin.
No. Texas and Colorado is coming like
that is
soon.
So exciting.
And all of these things are happening, and we're on our new run. So we had to make a new batch because we sold out. Right. And it's exciting, but it's a business and it's hard.
Right.
And people don't realize how hard business is.
And you're doing the bulk of it yourself.
By myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Like boots to the ground. I do the selling with the distributors. Like we go on sales
She's
calls.
going there.
And then after we sell to a little market or to a wine, I have lots of little favorites, but and then I go do tastings. Like after this. Yep. Gonna go to a tasting. I did a tasting yesterday in Menasha. I was in De Pere the day before. spend a lot of the month of July on the road.
So you stand there and you serve it and you talk
about the mission. And if they like it, they like it, they buy it, and then they know it. And then maybe that one person will tell a girlfriend, or they'll bring a bottle to a party.
Yes.
And they'll like, try this. Because it's the ultimate compliment, calling someone a stellar girl. Like even for a man to bring it to his wife or to his partner, or a daughter who graduated from school, got a promotion, bought a home. Right. And then I'm bringing one to a party to celebrate the stellar girl friends in my life. Whether it's like I just got married, so then I have a case of my stellar sparkling. Right. So it was, and for bachelorette parties, like you feel something. It's not just a celebratory brand, it's a feeling.
Well, and I think that's the thing about the brand is it's not even just the wine.
No.
It's definitely not just the lotion.
No.
They're great, but it's the mission behind it.
The mindset.
Right. Well, and I think some of the things that I saw about your mission change the narrative by guiding women to unapologetically celebrate our successes, inspire and guide women to own their own stellarness and share their stories.
Yeah.
Elevate style, wellness, and mindset. And that's what I love about your brand is, it's style, but you do a ton of stuff on wellness. Like I went after work yesterday, I went home and took off my shoes, went and sat in the grass and grounded for an hour in the sunlight.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of you because you post that all the time on your story.
I do.
You're consistently talking about wellness.
Always.
Which is not very common, I would say, in like the style
world. I feel like I have a lot. I feel like it encompasses everything in your life. So I feel like I have to talk about it all, including adventure. Like,
I was just going to say adventure.
And I love traveling. And it's not about a $10,000 European vacation. It's about grabbing your bestie, going to Milwaukee and seeing a concert, or going to the market on Wednesday nights here. It's about doing something, getting out of your home, getting out of Netflix and going to do something.
Right.
And it has to be, I don't know, it's you don't always have to go with someone. You could go by yourself.
Well, and our brains like new novel things.
Yeah.
That's so obvious. I mean, every time I do something different or the colors change or I travel, you're just happier.
Yeah.
And it lasts for a while.
Yeah.
And then you're more creative and you get new ideas and then you're nicer to your kids. And it just is like such a wonderful trickle down effect from changing the environment a little bit.
Mother Nature does a lot for us that we forget. Like my girlfriend said, have you ever hugged a tree? I'm like, why would I hug a tree? They're like, go hug a tree. I'm like, you think of like tree huggers or the term or like hippie or something like that. But I'm like, I'm going to go hug a tree. So I literally went outside in my bare feet and I wrapped my arms around a tree. And I'm like, wow, like Mother Nature gives us all of these things. Like, as you said, your 10 minutes of grounding in bare feet. Anywhere you go, wherever you travel, you can find something. To ground yourself. And there's
water, what water does to you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the sunrise, the
sunset.
Like it's all free.
It's all outside. And we forget to go outside.
Yes, we do.
We forget that we can actually get natural vitamin D on our faces for a shorter period of time. I am in the space, but I also, and all the girls that I follow that on with health and beauty, like, wear your sunscreen, Teri, wear your sunscreen. I'm sure you'll tell me also, wear your sunscreen, Teri. I'm like, I don't wear sunscreen.
Right. And I don't wear sunglasses either.
And maybe you don't? No. And maybe I'll age quicker, but I feel like I like getting sun on my face.
Right. I mean, I would say if I'm on the boat at noon.
Yes. Or
I'm wearing sunscreen.
Yes. Or you're in the Caribbean, or you're in the Mediterranean. You're
kiteboarding.
Oh my gosh.
On the ocean.
I can't believe you do that.
It's really fun.
And it's so difficult.
It's really bright. Like my lips will like there was one morning I woke up and my lips were like, it looked like I had massive amounts of filler put in my lips because I was just like this.
All swollen from
so like there are times where you have to wear it, but I intentionally get unsunscreened exposure to sun. Not as much as I can, but regularly for that reason.
And you do a lot of like sauna and cold plunging.
Yes.
You believe in all of that too.
Yes,
and I see you every weekend in the Bay or in your cold plunge here at your offices. And you promote a lot of wellness that is not necessarily what people think is wellness.
Right.
Like your integrated policies and how many lives you have actually physically changed, including myself and a lot of members of my family. So what you're doing here, and when you were talking about Stellar Girl, it's like, I don't know if you've ever told yourself that you're proud of yourself.
I don't know.
Have you?
Probably not.
Have you ever clapped it up for yourself?
Nope.
Clap it up. Look at yourself. Look at, you built this. Yes. And the physical act of doing that,
Right.
like, or patting yourself
when
on
you
the
said the
back.
proud of you thing, I think of, that just makes me think of my mom. Like, I hear her saying it.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you, because you're used to hearing it from your parents or outside validation, but you don't say it to yourself.
Right.
Like
That's actually a really good point.
Like this morning I woke up and I'm like, oh, I feel kind of off, because not every day is going to be an amazing day. It's just not realistic, right? The 90-10 rule or whatever we want to follow. And I'm like, I got on the treadmill just for an example, because it just happened, and I PR'd. I went faster, longer, and I had way more output than normal. And I literally went, yay, Teri. Like, honestly, because no one else is going to do it. I'm in my basement by myself.
Right.
But you should be so proud of yourself, and you probably don't say the words enough, because you tell your daughters, you're like, I'm so proud of you
all the time.
Right? We tell our friends, oh my gosh, look at this. Like, I tell you, look at what you've built here. Look at all the lives you've changed in this area, and all the way, like, all throughout Wisconsin. And you might have even virtual clients that are not even in Wisconsin. But you don't say it to yourself.
No. And I keep wanting to change the subject, even you talking about it, which is really funny.
But that's why.
Makes me a little uncomfortable.
Right. Why is that?
I don't know.
And I'm the same. Oh, sorry, my pants are making noise.
You're good.
Look at my jeans.
But one thing I have been doing lately, which I think you're going to love, is my back has been hurting me. So I've done all this stuff. And finally I was like, I think I just need to dance. Because I went to this concert a few weeks ago and I loved it. But my husband was like, Lynn, you and Chris, who's his son, just literally stood there for 4 hours and watched. We were like right up in front.
Okay.
Right. And all the people around us, half of them were high as kites.
Okay.
We're just jamming and dancing. And
I
was loving it. I was just like, I was great. But I was like, he's like, why don't you dance? So then I was like, you know what? I think I just need to dance. So now in the mornings after I work out and I'm getting ready, come back. All right. When I get into the kitchen, I'm like having my water and stuff like that. I turn on my music and I'm dancing and moving my hips. I'm like, my back's probably just tight because I don't dance. So I think that's the way to celebrate yourself. It feels really good.
100%. Dance on your mat before you work out.
Yep.
Dance in bare feet on the grass. If you don't want to walk on it, dance on it.
Right.
Like, get it in where you can.
I did a cartwheel yesterday while I was down.
How'd you do?
Great.
I'm going to go try one. I think it's been a decade since Yeah. I would jump on a trampoline. When was the last time you jumped on a trampoline?
A long time.
See?
Right. That is fun too.
Like,
it hasn't been that long, but it is fun.
But like jumping up and down and
swing.
Dancing. A swing. When was the last time we got on a swing?
I almost did yesterday, but I had my 2 big dogs, and I'm like, where am I going to put my dogs? Like a swing.
Right. Well, do it.
Right. So I'm going to go back and swing.
Why not?
Yeah. No, I love it.
Feel like a kid again.
I love it. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I wanted to say about. I have all my notes about you.
Wait, it's okay.
We covered your athleticism, which is incredible. If you ever watch her videos about her working out, you're just like, oh my goodness. I thought I was fit. I thought I was fit.
You are fit.
Tell me about the charity stuff. Like you're an advocate for safe shelters.
Yes. So I'm that and the Art Institute. So so scholarships for women in the arts. With the School of the Art Institute of Chicago in fashion design, photography, sculpture. They'll allocate where that needs to go to. So STELLARGIRL does a give back there, and safe shelters for women. Yes. So there's obviously the Golden House and the Harbor House in Appleton, and also we empower her in Fond du Lac, where they have a mentor program. They actually mentor the women who get out of the situations that they're in, and they go to school every Tuesday for it's a 6-week program, and then they graduate. And actually their gala's coming up. So it's an amazing thing to see these women get out of a situation that they never thought they could.
Right.
And then actually get guidance and get help to see these are the steps you need to take.
Right.
And get a job, get out of their situation. You have to advocate, and you always have to give back when you can. Because I think the best I ever feel is when I'm doing something else for others. Even though we talk about we have to love ourselves first. We have to be our own best friend. We have to be our own biggest fan, which is absolutely STELLARGIRL's message. But the moment that you feel those things and actually believe that about yourself, what you can give to others is way better.
Much more, right?
So much more. So much more.
And also the more you give to others, and it'll just come back to you, as well, obviously. And then the Rise Up celebration.
Yeah. So we used to, we had events. We had, I think, 6 events for women. We started small, it was about 20 people. We ended up getting about 60-ish. And we had just events for women in downtown Green Bay.
And it was big. I mean, it was just all about empowering them, and
it was, we had different, it was kind of
collaboration.
Mm-hmm. We had like a salsa event one night. We did salsa lessons. We did, then we had a bunch of influencers come in to talk about different, how to garden, how to dress, what to wear, how to work out. And so it was always a different theme. And then we had a speaker at the beginning. So you could go and sit down with a speaker who has a lot of knowledge on like intuition and Reiki. We had our first speaker, I think, was a news anchor, and she talked about her story and how she was 24 and everyone at the table was between 30 and 40 years old. And she was teaching them on how she started. And it was just, it's really cool because you could learn at any point in time. I mean, I learn more from my kids, I think, than
100%
anybody else.
Right.
So the more you learn from each other. And so it was just cool to get together with these girls.
What is the favorite thing you're working on right now?
I would love, if I don't believe this, then it's not going to happen. So I want Stellar Girl to be an empire. I do. And I think we're going to do it with this wine. I think if enough people, if you see a bottle on the shelf that says La Marca or Frederique's or Corbel, and they are multi-million-dollar brands, $100 million brands, right? But what does that name say when you buy that product? What does Corbel mean to you? What does La Marca mean?
I mean, other than a fine thing or a fine product, it doesn't mean anything in terms of like a mission or a value.
Well, if it's $12, like what are they making it for? What's really in it? Right. So, and you go to, like, if you see the bottle of Stellar Girl on the shelf and the word Stellar Girl, and you're a woman and you don't know what wine to buy for your girlfriend or to celebrate her, right? Or you're a man and you need to go out and grab wine for Christmas or for New Year's Eve, and there's going to be a bunch of women there. The name itself will gravitate you versus just seeing a bunch of other wines on the shelf. But I think we need to get the brand identity out there, and that's what I'm working on.
You're doing a great job.
I'm super passionate about it.
You're doing a great
job.
I
would love for people to go into stores, boutiques, or see it on a menu, and you're at a Chives with your girlfriends, right?
Yes.
And you're like, I'll have a glass of Stellar Girl.
Yes.
We'll have a bottle of Stellar Girl. Because it's the feeling, and I keep saying that, but it truly is.
I love it.
That's how I feel.
I was kind of hoping you brought some today for our episode.
I'm just kidding. I do have some on my car. We should be.
It's a little early for that.
It's Friday. We're recording on a Friday.
We're gonna drive the kid to football tonight.
Yeah,
this afternoon, I should say.
We have a game tonight in Sean.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You used to practice.
Yeah. Well, game practice.
Well, is there anything else you'd want to share with my audience before we wrap it up that I didn't cover?
I think that what you are doing here in this facility, and all of these different things that are coming into Green Bay and the markets and the women that I'm meeting. And I feel like I believe so much in this community and what we can do for each other, and not just say we can do this for each other, but actually advocate for one another, recommend, spread the word, support each other.
And even if you think of them as a competitor, that's the thing that I hate the most, is that there's a lot of competitiveness.
There's room for everyone to succeed.
There's so much room for everyone.
There's something for everyone.
And the better that they do, the better you're going to do. It's just, I guess.
And elevating women and championing them and celebrating the small wins. So if there's one little message that I would love for this audience to hear, is you get your kids to school on time. That's a little win. Celebrate that. For some women, it's getting out of bed. Celebrate that you got out of bed that particular day.
Yes, for sure.
And sometimes it's a bigger achievement or a bigger accomplishment or even a huge victory. Take the moment before you climb the next mountain. But if you don't celebrate the small wins, you're not going to learn how to celebrate the big ones.
Right.
So self-celebration, and take care of yourself, what you put into your body, what you feed your body, how you move your body, smiling, laughing, dancing,
yes,
more
cartwheels,
and having fun. Where's the fun? Where did the fun go?
Right. No, and I would say, and you guys absolutely should follow her. So she has Instagram, Facebook. I don't know how active you are. And TikTok was pretty active.
I'm more so on
Ish.
Instagram.
Yeah,
but
mostly Instagram. And then she has a YouTube channel.
I do. I have YouTube.
Her podcasts are all on her website. Her website will be linked in the show notes at STELLARGIRL.com. So it's really easy to find. She has a great guide in there where it actually goes through different tips on being a stellar girl. And it's very short, easy to read. I went through it this morning.
10 bullet points.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Join the newsletter. Go to STELLARGIRL.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Every single week I get a new guide of like, this one was like how to celebrate fall and
I saw that.
And what to do. And, you know, just like morning tips, evening wind down tips.
So it's all very positive, uplifting, health oriented,
fun,
style oriented, fun. So I highly recommend you follow it. And I would find, I don't know if you have a place where I can list where you can find your wine.
It's in, here,
right
in our area.
In our area.
We're at the Wine Cellar. We're at Hy-Vee.
Oh, good. Wine Cellar has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one in like right down the street on Main Street.
Yep.
Hy-Vee has it. If you're shopping there. Stonebridge, Piggly Wiggly has it.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm in 40 locations so far, and heading to Milwaukee to infiltrate that market.
Yes. So try to find it.
In Stewart County too.
Yes, for sure.
Sturgeon Bay, Egg Harbor. Yeah.
We had it at our summer staff party, and everyone loved it.
Oh, good.
It's so fun.
Good.
I sent you a picture of one of us drinking it like this, I think.
And we've popped some bottles here when we've had some events. Right. We had that glow up event.
Yep, we had an event here. I couldn't make it, but
I love celebrating with women.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know you have to go.
Thank you for having me.
Share your wine with others this afternoon. So I'll let you get to your next event.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate it. And it's always wonderful to see you.
Love you.
So love you too.
Thank you for having me.